It would help if I was unmuted. If I talked, that's great. So what we're going to be sharing with this webinar is primarily going to be printmaking techniques. However, I know we're always looking for ideas. We like to stress as part of this that our ideas are not the only part of our programs. We really like to focus on literacy and books as part of this. So we use our art techniques as ways to leverage whatever our book is, or our library service. So they all have a book or library service connection. So we will sell our Hoopla books, we will sell our in-person books, we will sell our Canopy services because we have Canopy. We will sell whatever we have, but we use the art techniques as part of it. So we're going to get a little bit further into that in a little bit. We're going to be doing activities on the screen, so you are totally invited to do them with us at the same time. I understand not everybody will, but you are invited to. Feel free to tell me I'm going too fast, because I do tend to go too fast, but I'm willing to slow down or repeat. I've done a lot of this for a while, so I don't think about all the steps of it. So if you've missed something, it's probably my fault, so please point it out to me. We picked printmaking because we can do some really interesting art techniques using materials that likely we have around the house. I don't think our supply list was super artsy. I think it was more arts and craftsy stuff that you probably have in the back of your drawer somewhere, mostly. So we're gonna explain over video. I've made videos, and we chose these things because they're small and easily accessible. And they'll have lots of opportunities for you to engage with your audience, which we imagine will be somewhere between the ages of 6 and 18. You can do older, it's okay. Adults are cool too sometimes. And should be with materials you already have at home. We're assuming that you're asking your attendees to provide their own supplies, but these are also supplies that you could really easily put in a cheap take and make bag to send home. And we are also assuming that everything is being done virtually, although of course, at some point, you can also do these things with people and in the same room. Radical. So I think that kind of covers all of that. And Amber's going to go more into what we mean by a complete library program. So
all right. So when we do these programs, we talk about a complete library program. We talk about not just doing the technique, but also making it into a library program. So why are we doing it at the library? How can we connect with the library collection? How can we connect with our audience? How can we bring people in? So if you find one of the documents I uploaded was called a takeaway, that is a complete library program when we speak about library programs. Yeah, doing the art technique is going to be important, but that's just one piece of a complete program. So we plan everything. If you've ever been at the library when the person who had a program today called in sick and you just had a pile of stuff on their desk and you're like, what is even going on? You would appreciate a program plan. At the top of our program plan is a supply list so that you can gather them up. There's always a theme, putting the program into a larger context for your audience and your kids. Always, always, always a collection. We believe that we are here to connect our kids to reading. So yes, we're doing printmaking, but we always promote our collection. If it's not a physical book, it's a Hoopla book, and we'll put the link in the message, you know, an Overdrive book, an ebook, something to get the kids reading and connecting with the library through more than the program. And then we always think about our vocabulary, because one of the things that I've learned is that I use lots of words and they're big words and kids don't always know them. So I try to think about what are the words I'm going to be using a lot today through the program, and how can I just explain them to the kids at the beginning. Vocabulary building is part of literacy, and 1 or 2 words that they're going to hear over and over so that we can make sure that we stress them and that they know what we're talking about. So looking at the program takeaway that we have, Starts with an introduction. I say my name. Hi, my name is Amber Holly. I work here at the library. You can see me over in the children's department any day. It's especially important online because even though my name is written right below me, they might not see it. They might not, they want to, you should always say your name. We always do an icebreaker when we are on Zoom. It establishes the fact that they're allowed to talk or not talk. If it's a chat only, then it's an icebreaker where they're participating via chat so they can get used to it. It establishes kind of the social norms for how we're going to act in this room. So today you are all muted. If you want to talk, you can clap or you can chat. And that's kind of establishing that for how we're going to go for the whole program. And we do this with our kids too. We do a book talk. We sell a book. We have multiple copies to hand out if we're live. Please, one day we'll be live again. And we have links if it's an online book. We'll link to our catalog so that people can put things on hold, and we push that through the chat so that the parents can click on it and get it. And then we do the actual activity. We're going to make prints, printmaking. But then we tie that into the next thing. What are you going to do with the print? How are you going to use the book form? And then we always close out by thanking, inviting them to check out books, telling them about future programs. And we always try to ask a couple questions. What did you like best? What didn't you like? What was a struggle? What was fun? Get them thinking and talking about what they did in the program. So that is a complete program. And you have pretty much a program takeaway in front of you. It has information about all those different parts. And you can basically do that program in your library tomorrow once you gather the supplies, right? So we try to give at least one, but we're going to be doing more than one printmaking technique. We're going to be doing lots. So I uploaded the documents into the chat, and Elizabeth has also shared the link to the Google Drive. We uploaded them because some people have Google blocked on their work computers. Our school system does that. They just don't like people. They don't like people Googling. All right, I think that's all I've got. You got a mindfulness takeaway. We're going to do this now. We're going to get to the actual printmaking. And again, we want you to make prints with us. So get your art materials together. Elizabeth is going to take over and she's going to walk you through how you do this.
How about I unmute myself so I can speak?
Okay.
What a radical concept. So what we're going to be doing to begin with is not this. We're going to do shaving cream prints. So we're going to make, we're going to do marbling. So printmaking is cool because it encompasses so many weird and varied things. In general, we talk about printmaking as being transferring our paint, design, etc., from one medium onto our finished medium. So what we're going to start with in this case is a bed of shaving cream. So we're going to need some shaving cream, cheap shaving cream, disposable plates, food coloring, toothpicks, craft sticks, and index cards. And I will say, for those of you who are mess averse, this is the messiest thing. That's just the messiest thing. The other techniques we'll be working with are not nearly as messy. This one is messy. I'm sorry. We are using food coloring. Food coloring will probably be on your fingers. I will tell you though that because we are washing our hands 10,000 times a day, the food coloring stayed on my hands for less than 24 hours. And if you are careful, you don't have to be that messy. So what we're going to do is I'm going to connect my document camera and then we can see what is going on. Let me just connect. You can wear gloves if you're going to be that way. Yes, you can wear gloves. I don't like gloves. Sorry. You can do this technique with liquid watercolors if you have the option. I don't have any. You can also use like a paintbrush to kind of dip your watercolors as well, but that doesn't always work as well. All right. connect my camera. All right, that's working?
Yes, it's working.
You may have to yell. Oh. Yell at me if you can't hear me.
If you chat, I will also yell.
Okay. So I like to start with a small plate for my shaving cream. This just kind of corrals the amount of mess that you're going to make. And what you want is a nice bed of shaving cream. This is clearly gold shaving cream. And just take a popsicle stick, craft stick is better because they're bigger, and create a nice flat surface to work on. Right. I recommend having multiple plates available so that when you have made something that is messy, you can throw it off to the side. And I always have paper towels. Paper towels are required. So this is a dirt simple technique. You've got your bed of shaving cream. This is going to be your ground if you're talking about printmaking terms. You're going to drop some food coloring on it. As many colors or as few colors as you feel are necessary. Follow your bliss. And once you have them down, I've got a stir stick, but you can use whatever else. A popsicle stick, toothpicks are great. And you're going to swirl. So you can create a pattern, you can be random. It is up to you. Whenever you feel like you are done swirling, I like to use index cards because they're slightly sturdy paper. They're already cut down to a manageable size. And they come in a giant pack, so it doesn't matter. So this is a little bit less shaving cream than will cover the entire card, but that's okay. So you want to place your card down so that it touches the shaving cream and kind of like tap it just to make sure I don't have any air bubbles underneath. And then I'm going to pull it up, straight up. And you can already see most of the design. It just transferred straight off of that shaving cream. And here's where you want your second plate, because you want to just scrape off the rest of that shaving cream. So super quick and very just a smooth motion, scrape. And then I'll scrape the other way. So I have marbled a piece of paper. Pretty awesome. So you can do this again as many times as you want to print. This piece here, this bit of shaving cream may let you print exactly the way it is right now. I'm going to throw some yellow on top of it and give it a little bit more.
So we have a question right now from Lisa. How long does it take to dry? This one does not take long to dry because mostly what's wet is the shaving cream. So you can just scrape it off in maybe 5 minutes. So this one is a good one to do in the library, besides the fact that the shaving cream and the food coloring is messy in itself. But you can always move on to the second part of whatever activity you're going to do. So I've had kids just make millions and millions of these. What I like about it when I do it is once they've decided that their mix is ugly because they added yellow this time and that still looks good, but the next time they add red and they're like, why is it just like brown? I'm like, just throw it away. It's a paper plate and food and shaving cream. We can totally give you another paper plate and you can start over. Or if the shaving cream's super thick, you can just scrape off that top layer.
Yeah. So,
and it will dry flat. So as it dries, it'll dry flatter, or you can put it under a book.
yeah. I'm working on like a quality disposable plate right now, but I love these paper cheapies because you get a million for a couple bucks. And I use them because my library system does not have drying racks for artwork. So, ooh, look at that. You did
All right.
it.
Crystal says that she has done this with preschoolers for fall leaves and Easter eggs and dolphins. And yes, all of that.
Yeah.
Preschoolers can do this. It's not too complicated for them.
Yeah.
So we have a clap from Lisa, but we can't clap. So thumbs up. Thank you.
If you're done with this design and you're tired of it, you can scrape it off. You can also just put another layer on top. It doesn't require all that much. Just to cover it over and then start again. You can also, because this is fairly substantial shaving cream, you can for a while just kind of mix it in, mix your food coloring in, and it might tint your shaving cream a little bit, but it'll still make a lovely print on top. But you can do this forever. So I like to do this as a way of talking about actual marbling, which is slightly different, but still uses the same basic idea where you're floating some colors on top of a medium and then swirling them to create your marbled design.
So Lisa Blue asked, would whipped cream work as well? And I thought about that myself because I wanted to do eggs and I was concerned that shaving cream might be toxic because I actually like to eat my Easter eggs. But I never tried it. So has anyone else tried it with whipped cream? It has the same consistency.
The internet say yes, Amber. I have researched this.
There you go. The internet says yes, and the internet would not lie to us.
It would never lie to us, never ever. So what the internet says, if you're going to do this with shaving cream and eggs, your process is a little bit different because if you have dyed eggs in the past, you know that it takes more than just a second to get that dye to actually impregnate the egg shell. So what you do is you would create your ground with your shaving cream and your food coloring. Dip your eggs so that they are entirely covered, and then put them someplace to, they say dry, but I'm going to say cure for a little bit. Let them cure for a little bit. And then wash off the whipped cream. And then you'll have very pretty marbled eggs. I found that one, the instructions for that one not too long ago, so they exist.
So we did this for her son's Valentine last year. I somehow was being good Tia and watching Oren while she went out and played on Valentine's Day. And we did this with index cards so he could write on the line side. So we made it beautiful. And then he could write his, you know, be my Valentine or whatever to all his classmates. And what he appreciates is the lines. Like then he would print on the other side so that you can see the lines because he liked to be able to write neatly, which I find hysterical. And then each one looks unique so that not everyone gets the same exact Valentine. Everyone gets a beautiful and unique snowflake of a Valentine. You can absolutely use cardstock paper, watercolor paper, any thicker paper. You can use regular copy paper, but it's going to be super thin and curl when you scrape it with the popsicle stick, which again, it'll dry, but it's a little bit harder to work with.
Now, I will say that your paper does smell like shaving cream forever and a day. That smell does not go away. So
yeah, we bought that menthol smell shaving cream once because we buy dollar store shaving cream for this, and boy, was that a smell.
Yeah, not to like, I don't get a kickback, but they have this at the dollar store. So that's what we have.
All right, so we're going to do this one and then we are going to move on unless we get someone in the chat who says, no, one more time.
More color.
All right.
Look how pretty it is. Come on. All right.
All right, so we will do another art.
She's making some too. They're beautiful.
We will make another print in a minute, so you can keep printing if you'd like, but we are going to poll. We are going to launch a poll. We want to know some things from you. So you should see on your screen 3 questions, 3 super hard questions. I like that familiar is capitalized because, you know, I'm Victorian some days. So please answer the questions. First question, how familiar are you with printmaking? 2, how often have you been doing art programs with kids? I have a favorite art program that I would love to share. Anyone says yes, I won't be able to see who said yes, but clap and I will totally unmute you. Or you can share it in the chat. Ooh. Yes. Clap for yeses. All right, 63% have voted. I have faith in you. All right, I'm going to unmute Tally. Tally can share her art program that she's done that she would like to share.
Oh, I apologize. I actually, I meant to ask a question about the printmaking activity.
Okay.
So as you can see with mine, mine are kind of a little bit, they don't have a lot of texture in them, a lot of that marbling. I feel like I kind of miss that. I think my first one has some of it, but I don't know if I'm doing it wrong or I may be using too much food coloring.
Normally it's less is more. So just using less food coloring will get a better result.
Okay, perfect.
So I have I tend to do this as well. Elizabeth is art enabled, so she doesn't make the mistakes that other people make. So when you're doing your dots, just swirl through them one time, wait, do your print, then maybe try your next one and do your next print. I always want to swirl more because more is better. I mean, more is always better. And then I run into problems.
Okay, perfect. I think that's what's going on with me.
So yeah, because more is better. I'm with you. I understand. But in this case, it's not. Also, when I try to make marbled cakes, they're ridiculous. They're just, you know, just one swirl, see how it looks, wait.
Perfect. I can do that. Thank you.
No problem. All right, we have a couple art programs. We have Lisa Blue. Her favorite art program has been having teens create their artwork on tissue paper and then add that paper to a pillar candle and melt it onto the candle. So it's easy, pretty, beautiful. I bet marbled tissue paper would be amazing. I've never done that. That's awesome. I keep thinking like this is a secrets program. You could have them write secrets and then you know, like you can't see it. You're going to burn it. Like it's the best cathartic thing. All right. We have potato prints with paint printmaking for daycare kids. Absolutely. I love potato printmaking. Also carrots, okra. It's the best use of okra ever.
Broccoli. Broccoli makes beautiful trees.
Oh. All right, so I have shared the results. Most of you are a little bit familiar with printmaking. You'll know more by the end of today. Yarn monsters, those are good to print make with too. Pipe cleaners, like it's like a stamp. Fireworks is what we called it when we did it. How often have you been doing, I would be doing them all the time, but COVID, yes, we hear you. But still once a week, once a month, several times a week. And the favorite program. Recycled materials to make musical instruments. Yes.
Yes.
Rubber bands, lids from jars, Kleenex boxes, all of that. All right. So I need to stop sharing results and Elizabeth is going to move on to art technique number 2. Oh, we have a question. Have you tried on canvas? Do you mean this printmaking technique? Yes. So have we tried using canvas to do shaving cream prints?
No, but I have seen a compelling evidence for using this same technique with fabric. So
canvas is just fabric, so I would think.
Well, canvas is fabric that has been primed, and so will not be accepting dye.
But you can do the same technique with acrylic paint. So
Yeah.
Lisa has done it with acrylic paint, which is where I was thinking in my head. If you use actual paint, then it would stick to the canvas better.
Yeah. Well, but you're also scraping off, so you may get a variable result with that. You could do it on a piece of wood, because that hasn't been primed, or a piece of fabric canvas that hasn't been primed, just the cotton duck, and it would work well. But just straight food coloring is likely not going to stick the way you would like it to onto the canvas.
Okay.
Awesome questions.
All right, we've used canvas before using Sharpie pens and then put cardboard in back. Okay. If you put cardboard on the back of the canvas. Okay. I am willing to try it and we will let you know.
See, this is what I like about these conversations, because we can share our varied experiences.
Yeah, we generally don't use canvas just because we're cheap and we're doing these with teens. So then you would have to have a whole bunch of canvases to give out. But they do have those little cute ones that are like, 3x5s. That would be fun. We'll try it. All right, printmaking technique number 2 is bubble prints.
Yes. So for this technique, you're going to need some water, some dish soap, whatever kind you happen to have, more of these, more food coloring. A straw is helpful, but you can also just roll up a piece of paper. And clearly we're not doing this one in person right now because we're going to blow bubbles and share our germs, but only with ourselves. So what I have found with this is that you want an equal amount of dish soap and water. So I use a spoon, but if you can eyeball this, you can eyeball this. You don't need much liquid at all. In fact, less liquid is better. I have been doing like 2 spoons of water and then 2 spoons of dish soap, and it's plenty.
And we have done this with preschoolers. We have done this with teens.
Like
like she mentioned, you can roll up paper to make your straw, then you have less like environmental anxiety. We've also used straws and just cut them really short.
So if you use straws with little kids, they're fine. There is a trick that you can do to keep them from very thick. Keep the kids from sucking up your liquid, and it is just when you're using a regular straw, you give it a cut partway down. So I don't have a regular straw. I have these, but if you break the seal at any point of the straw on the side, you won't be able to suck in, but you will still be able to blow through. I neglected to do this with my school-age kids one afternoon, and somebody decided to get a mouthful of paint, which was very exciting. It's non-toxic paint. The kid's fine. He lived. But he forgot what he was doing for a moment, and stuff happened. So I've got my base, and I'm going to throw a lot of food coloring in this. I'm going to use, I'll use blue. I like 10, 15 drops of food coloring. It's a lot of food coloring. It's okay. And give it a quick stir. So this printmaking technique is super simple. We're going to blow a lot of bubbles with our soapy blue water, and we're going to get the bubbles to come up over top of the container. This is the part that all children love. And then you'll take your index card and just place it on top of your bubbles, and you can just leave the bubbles on top there. We like to do this with some deep breathing exercises, because what better way to show that you are breathing out slowly than to make a whole bunch of bubbles? Who doesn't love that? So we like to do a technique that is called flower and candle. So you imagine in your mind's eye the most beautiful flower that you can possibly think of. It is your favorite flower in the world, right? And it smells beautiful, and it can smell like anything you want it to. If your flower smells like chocolate, if it smells like birthday cake, if it smells like a rose, it's all up to you. It's your favorite flower. So you're going to breathe it in as deep as you possibly can. Breathe it in all the way down to your toes. And then in your other hand, you have an imaginary candle, and you want to blow on the candle slowly just so that it flickers but doesn't ever blow out. So we're going to breathe in our candle breath. We're breathing in our flower breath, and we breathe out our candle breath. And our candle breath, for this time, we're going to blow our candle breath right into our bubbles.
All right. Can you zoom in? Make it bigger, the actual blue plate part. Is that better?
Is it good?
And I have a question. Can it be shampoo? I think it probably could. We've never tried it with shampoo because the library buys dish soap and it's cheap. But anything that you can make bubbles with, as you're about to see the bubbling happen.
So breathe in your flower breath, breathe in deep all the way down to your toes, and then breathe out super slowly and make a whole bunch of bubbles.
But now we get to see the back full of the stuff. All right. So Elizabeth, I have straws in my kitchen drawer. You could go grab a long straw and see if you can make it do it.
That's pretty awesome.
All right, so you want to blow slowly until you get as many bubbles as you can. The utensil drawer, Elizabeth.
Much better. Can't blow bubbles today.
I think it's just too thick. I would add more
It
water.
is too thick. This is old soap and it has thickened up.
So you blow out through the straw, and that's where you get your bubbles. So the liquidier it is, the more bubbles you get. So soap and water and lots of dye, and then you blow out slowly. If you blow too quick, you don't get as many bubbles. So you want to go slowly. That's why this is a good mindfulness technique. And you don't get it in the straw, you're just blowing out. And then all those bubbles that you have on top of the water, that is what you are going to press your paper onto, and then you get that bubble design. It's beautiful. And I think it's another one that you could do on tissue paper and put on a candle. That's such a good idea. And it dries pretty quickly. If someone's going to ask how long does it take to dry, because it's such a thin amount of water, it dries pretty quickly, maybe 5-6 minutes. By the time they're done making more, because they always just want to keep making more, their first ones are dry. You can also layer them. So this one was blue. If you have 3 different cups with different colors, you can put more colors on top, lots and lots of bubbles.
But beautiful texture.
Yeah, and if you're not getting enough bubbles, add more water, see how that goes.
Yeah.
Our soap has been in the garage for 2 years, so that's why it's a little bit thicker than the normal soap that you buy at the store. Look at all those bubbles. All right. You can see each other in the gallery view. We have a good job, Kathleen. All right. For cow creations. So actually, if I were going to do a cow printmaking, I would do stamping with cardboard, because you can cut your cow spots in whatever shape moves you using cardboard, and then glue the cardboard onto other cardboard so that it's like a stamp. So, and then you can dip it in paint, dip it in paint. So we make a fake print and ink pad basically by putting acrylic paint or tempera paint on paper towels with water. So then you have an ink pad, you dip your cardboard, and then you can, make cow prints. I think that would be fun. So this activity is called bubble prints. And you might have seen she just added green food coloring to her thing, and she starts blowing, and now we've got green and blue. I tend to be a little bit of a control-y person, so I only put out complementary colors when I do stuff with elementary kids so they don't make brown. Elizabeth says that making brown is a learning experience and that all kids need to experience it. But I always found it so disappointing that I will only put out like red and yellow together. So at the very least, it'll just make orange and that'll be fine. Blue and green, or, red and blue, and not all 3, but whatever moves you.
So
all right. So
I actually like to vary it. I would, when I was doing my preschool art program on the regular, I would switch it out on a schedule so that we could talk about making orange, we could talk about making purple, we could talk about making green. And then sometimes we'd talk about making gray because we would have white and black. Sometimes I would have an analogous color scheme where everything was very close together on the color wheel and you would always have beautiful colors. And sometimes I would have those discovery days where you would figure out that the primary colors, when mixed together, make brown and ugly colors. So they're all learning experiences, which is, what it's all about. You have to explore and find out for yourself, because otherwise you don't believe.
All right, so bubble print's another good one that's good for
Ooh.
preschool all the way through teens. And all it takes is water, dish soap, food coloring. Today is food coloring day. If you didn't notice, we are all about the food coloring. We
You
are
can do this with Synchro just as well. It works out just fine.
also watercolor, liquid
Yes.
watercolor. You can use liquid watercolor. So our next printmaking technique is coffee filter prints. But first, we have another poll. Poll 2, I'm going to launch polling. And we have 3 more questions. What kind of programming have you been doing? And what is one program idea that you've always wanted to try but haven't had the opportunity yet? So 2 questions. I tell a lie. All right, we've been doing a lot of pre-recorded videos. I feel that. I feel like there are videos of me singing Old MacDonald very badly on the internet. Not much, but collecting lots of ideas. And that's fun too. Some Facebook Live, some Zoom. I've been doing lots of Zoom. We haven't done much Facebook Live. We do our book club on Facebook Live, but everything else. All right. Programming ideas that you want to try but haven't had the opportunity. Puppets. That could be fun. Puppets freak me out a little bit, but kids really, really respond. I mean, they just connect and it's like you're not even in the room. It's magic. Blackout poetry. Love to do it with teens. But because of COVID, yes, I have done blackout poetry with teens and it was so much fun. Some people do all of it. They do Zoom, pre-recorded, and in-person pre-COVID-19, yes. Sewing, they want to do sewing. Oh, Teen Shark Tank, that could be fun.
Sewing.
Mason jar flower pots, yep. Graffiti stencil art, yep. Multiple art techniques as well as fiber. Yep, multimedia. Jeopardy. I would love to do live so badly, but book talks are next recorded. Sewing machines, knitting, crochet, beadwork, all of that, live stuff. One of the things I'm excited to try online, because I think it would actually be better online, is I want to figure out how to do like a cooking program. We've done Cook-a-Book live in the library, but I feel like you're at home, you have actual materials and we could actually cook. It could be so much fun. But I have not done it yet. So if anyone has, let me know how it went. That's my kind of next thought project. Anime club, teens miss it so much. Yes, because you can watch anime alone, but teens are social, they need to talk. Journal making, book binding, yep. Yep, cooking at home would be a hit. I think it has such possibilities. I want to do it.
Well, we have tried it. We have had a couple of science programs where we talked about the science of baking.
Okay.
And so one of our presenters presented from her home kitchen, and she said she had like amazing participation for that one. So it did work out quite well. I want to do puppets over Zoom because I think puppets over Zoom would be absolutely hilarious, because I think that's something that we could definitely work out. All right.
Dungeons and Dragons, shellcraft, sewing. All right, we are make your own comic book. Keep them coming, but we are going to move on and we are going to show you coffee filter prints.
Yeah. So this technique requires that you have a plate that is kind of plastic coated. So I am sorry that I did not indicate that on the supply list earlier. If you have a like regular cheapy plate, it will probably not work, but I didn't get a chance to try it with a regular paper plate. But it works really well with this type of like plastic coated plate, a plastic plate, or a styrofoam plate. You could also try, if you have available, you could try putting your plate into a plastic bag. So for this, we're using the idea that this plastic plate is a resist, and it's going to kind of resist your paint, and that our coffee filter is going to hold our paint. So we're going to make some sort of design with your coffee filter. I'm assuming that people have scissors. I like to fold snowflakes, but I'm gonna restrain myself because we don't have that kind of time. So I'm gonna cut a bit. You could also tear. This works out kind of fun if you tear your coffee filter as well, but do some cutting. Make a design. It does not have to be the size of your entire plate either. All right, I'm doing hearts because it's Valentine's Day. Can't help it. Coming right up. Okay. So you can cut this down. You can cut it smaller. You don't have to do your entire plate. You don't have to do the entire coffee filter. What you're going to do now is use your finger or a paintbrush and just put a couple of drops of water on this so it'll actually stick down onto your plate. You don't want it super wet, just enough that it sticks. And you can decide if you want your paper plate in the end to be completely smooth down onto your plate, or if you want it to be a little bit crumbly. So that's a decision you make for yourself. I suggest try it the other way later, but try to make it kind of flat right now. If your filter is stuck down on your plate, pick a color or two of food coloring and kind of drip wherever you want your color to go. So for this, the plastic plate doesn't want to pick up the food coloring, but the food coloring kind of sticks onto your coffee filter. So you make almost like a stamp. I'm going to call this a printing plate because I have an art degree and I decided it's a printing plate. You guys are librarians, you can make similar decisions. It's okay.
We can just make up words. You just get to make up art stuff.
So you'll notice like I must own stock in food coloring because I have put a lot of food coloring on my plate. All good. This is the most like a traditional kind of printmaking technique where you can make a whole series of prints from one impression. So this, come back. This plate will make quite a number of prints. You can make a whole bunch. You can continue to add more food coloring and add a little bit of moisture to it as you go. But once you get the first couple of prints from it, you're going to get a very similar product every time you put an index card on it. So I'm just kind of making sure it's flatter. All right. Now what you do in order to make a print is you take one of your myriad index cards and you're going to put it down onto your coffee filter, hold it down with one hand, and this is important. You're going to kind of rub the back of it so that it touches everything. And you can rub hard, you can rub soft. The very first one that you make is always going to be too wet, though, I will tell you that. This first one is going to be bad because it is too wet and has too much stuff on it. Still, that is a cool result.
I think it's pretty.
I think it's awesome. Then you're just going to repeat. Grab another index card, put it right down. Make sure you rub everywhere. So this is very similar to any kind of subtractive printmaking technique like wood blocks or lino cuts, where you would have something that would hold your ink which is our coffee filter in this case, and something that does not hold the ink, which would be, the paper plate in this case. And you can pull a whole bunch just like this. You can continue to add colors to it. If you don't like these colors, you can't ever get rid of what's already there, but you can add on.
Right. So we have 4 more minutes. If you would like her to repeat any of this, if you have any questions, now is your last chance. Again, our email address is artistic literacy. It's up in the chat. I am sending through right now in the chat a survey. If you can only do 1 survey, Swiftlin will be sending you a survey. Do that one. But we think you can do 2 surveys. And this one is just let us know what you think. But also in the chat, you can share with us what was your favorite part of today? What was your favorite printmaking technique? And if you have a printmaking technique you love that we didn't talk about, you can absolutely share that too. One more time, how you made the cuts in the coffee filter. So go back to coffee filter cutting.
I just folded my coffee filter. I have my coffee filter. I folded it like I was going to fold a paper snowflake. Well, that's not true. I folded it like a person who doesn't care about 6-sided symmetry would fold it to make a paper snowflake.
So the thinner you fold it, the more times, the thicker it is and harder to cut, but the more intricate the design. So, try it a couple different times.
This is a coffee filter. It's not very thick. You can fold it a number of times and it is still not at all difficult to cut. So then I just made cuts in it. And then when I open it up, I have a magical design.
All right. Shaving cream prints with 6-year-old granddaughter. Shaving cream prints are one of my favorite coffee filter prints because this one felt new to me. It felt like one that I hadn't seen a million times.
So let me share with you because I made a whole bunch of these coffee filter prints because this is something I made up. I've got Valentines made now. So you can kind of see the way this goes.
All of these can be used to make Valentines, labels. You cut the edges and punch a hole and then it's a label. She made mason jar lid toppers and I was like, why did I buy labels to do that with? I could have just cut paper in circles.
So here's my mason jar.
With the heart and then the lid.
Got a little tag on it. Super cute. Make tags.
So yeah, now that you have paper, like the kids can spend a half hour making paper, but some of them get a little bored after the first couple minutes. And then you're like, okay, well, let's make the Valentine next. Take your paper and cut it and make your card or make your label or what's next. All right, we are wrapping up. We are right at 3 o'clock. Y'all are awesome. Please complete our survey. Please complete Luli's survey from Swiftlin. We hope to see you again. You will get a video. Taylor and Luli at Swiftlin will send it out.